and Jeff Smith will also be chatting with us. And in addition, Jody and Charlie and Jeff have been kind enough to respond to my request that we inject a little fun in the evening. So each one of them has given me a couple of bits of trivia about them. And so it will be the task of all of you in the audience to decide which of our speakers has this particular attribute. So that's the plan for the evening. A couple of announcements. We are close to being out of Biden signs, but I am told that we can expect Biden signs within the next week and a half. So we should be able to get back on track in terms of getting those out to people. A reminder that if you are able, please bring the Biden signs back in at night, and as well as any other signs. They are being stolen at a rate that we are, of course, quite upset about. Last I heard was 7 of the large signs and about 47 of the yard signs, which is an unacceptable rate. And it's unacceptable that the only thing that the police have been doing about it is publishing somebody purportedly taking away a Trump sign. But it's the position of the party that putting out a yard sign is freedom of speech. We encourage you to exercise that freedom by putting out yard signs, and if you can, bringing them in at night so you can continue to exercise that freedom the next day. And also, please, if you hear of anybody who's thinking that it would be a good thing to do to take down any yard signs, please encourage them not to. That's not cool. We need to have a good election cycle here, and that's not something we want to in any way encourage. So watch for more information on the additional Biden signs, and we will continue to do what we can to keep them in yards and other places. Pretty soon we will be doing assisted voter registration at the Resource Center, and we've got a team of volunteers who will also be going out to events. I know that Kayla and Brianna are going to be going to an Emily Berge event within the next week or so. I'm sorry, I don't know the day, but there'll be many opportunities for that. I'm really excited that the team is working on these events both in-house and also going out to do outreach on it. We need to do what we can to get every single person registered to vote and get them signed up for absentee ballots or otherwise have a plan to vote. So thank you for doing that. We will be painting some more yard signs, large signs, the 3x4s and the 4x4s, so that they can be more prominent in the community. If you have a hankering to paint signs, let me know, and there certainly is plenty of room for a lot of volunteers. Other volunteer opportunities that I don't want anyone to miss include, and now I just have to, oh, here we go, right in front of me. Working at the front desk. We are now trying to be open several days a week so that lit can be picked up, yard signs can be picked up, people can be helped with voter registration. We've got it set up under the approval of some of our nurses who have worked in public health nursing so that it is a no-touch experience. If you're working in there, you'll be separated by plexiglass from whoever comes in. Everybody's required to wear masks. Everyone's required to do appropriate cleaning. So it should be a very safe, very good experience. And believe me, there are a lot of people who are reaching out, wanting to come in for signs and other materials. So it would be a great service if you could help with that. Gloria is the person who's in charge of the front desk right now and keeping that staffed. So please reach out to her. If you don't have her email, reach out to me and I'll forward that. In about a week and a half, hopefully less, we'll be getting a new batch of Biden signs. I've ordered 400 of them. Hopefully we get all 400. That means though that we will need to put together 400 Biden yard signs. So if anybody is interested in doing that, please reach out and we will take care of that. We have buttons designed and Kim Wilson is making those. They're really nice Biden Harris buttons. We'll have those available that you can order by contribution on our ActBlue account. We're also designing a bumper sticker, final design to be finalized hopefully at the end of the week, and hopefully work with adjoining counties to get some of those ordered early next week, 6-day turnaround time. So hopefully by the following weekend, we will have bumper stickers for everyone who wants one. As always, we need people to write letters to the editor. This year we're doing something new, and almost all of the candidates have a postcard writing program going. So if you're interested in writing either letters or postcards, which can be as simple or as detailed as you wanted, please do that. And finally, phone calling. It can be phone calling to do some canvassing or some of the other programs that the coordinated campaign has, or phone calling for internal party purposes to see if volunteers would be willing to work on a project, to remind people of events and so on. So lots of fun opportunities that can all be done safely, most of them from your home, and all with either social distancing and masks, or masks and barriers, or something else to keep you safe. So please reach out. It would be good. I know all of us want to have some hands-on work to do, and I think this is a nice list of things that'll be safe for that. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Elizabeth Bauer, who's been kind enough to join us amidst all the furor of the convention that I know she's wrapped up in. She is the Wisconsin political director for the Biden campaign in Wisconsin. And if you wouldn't mind sharing some words and some excitement so that we can get the evening revved up.
Perfect. Thank you, Beverly, and thank you all for allowing me to join you this evening. Thrilled to be part of the coordinated campaign. I have just completed my first year on the Biden president team, started in Iowa last August, and have felt like I've lived 12 lifetimes since then, but I'm thrilled to be on the Wisconsin team and to be working so hard to deliver Wisconsin. One of which, of course, is last week. We announced our running mate in Senator Kamala Harris. We are thrilled with the feedback we've received, and just are really proud of this historic running mate selection. As always, feel free to share any feedback you're getting on the ground and hearing from folks. We'd love to know what people are saying, but have been really happy with the overwhelmingly positive response that we've received. Convention, tonight is the last night, if you can believe it. Obviously, we know that this convention isn't anything like we expected when it was announced last year. However, we're proud of our party's leadership in putting health and safety first, and I think we're thoroughly impressed with the work that our digital and advanced teams have been able to really churn out quality content and make it feel personal, and make do with as best we can in light of the pandemic, which of course we can't lose sight of the fact that is a direct result of President Trump's inability and unwillingness to deal with the virus, which of course we can't lose sight of that. Voter registration. Last week was the first day when Wisconsinites could register to vote and request their absentee ballots for the November election. This puts our organizing work officially into full gear for the next 75 days, which, whew, a lot to be done then, before then. Also, in terms of organizing, we are thrilled to have the largest organizing team Wisconsin has ever seen, and have it this cycle. We have over 100 organizers on the ground, including those who you may have worked with in Eau Claire. And so thanks for all of you who have pitched in and making calls or sending texts. We truly can't do this without you and your support. Signs, I know Beverly was talking a little bit earlier. We know that folks are itching to get them, and understandably so. Tonight, now that the once Vice President Biden accepts the nomination, the primary will officially conclude, in which we would then be able to place orders for signs for Biden-Harris. And then we are looking to get those churned out as quickly as possible so folks can display them. And we really appreciate the enthusiasm around the signs. And lastly, poll worker recruitment. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin is running its most robust voter protection program this year, to work to keep voters safe and healthy, and to prevent some of the disenfranchisement attempts we, of course, expect to see. For the first time, we're running a poll worker recruitment program to fill the highest areas of need so that we can avoid the poll consolidation we saw in April. So I will share some follow-up information with Beverly that she can hopefully pass along to you all, where a link where folks can sign up to be a poll worker or to send around to their networks and to share if anyone is willing. Of course, if there are young folks who are willing and able, we really encourage you to reach out to grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and encourage them to really take up this really important responsibility, this cycle. So those are my updates, and thrilled to have been able to join you all tonight. We hope everyone can catch the last night of the convention, but I can take any questions at this time if anyone has any. All right. Well, if not, then I will, you can follow up. I'll send my email to Beverly. And if folks at any point need to follow up, please do so. But I'll let you enjoy the rest of your picnic. I'm glad you could all make this happen tonight, and just so glad I could join you. And we're really looking forward to November.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Wonderful
right.
things
Thanks
to hear.
So much.
All right, so I'm going to segue to more local things right now, and we're going to experiment with how to do this trivia policy, or trivia thing that we're going to be experimenting with, I guess, not policy. There are 3 speakers left, and each one of them has given me some details about themselves, and I'm going to try and present these pieces of trivia throughout the course of the evening. And if you know the answer, please feel free to shout out. We may have to do a little poll or something, depending on how this works out. And then we'll ask the speaker to just give us a little bit of information on this particular piece of trivia once we've figured out who to ask. So, first piece of trivia, this speaker worked as a cowpuncher in Wyoming. Emerson, Charlie Warner, Jeff Smith.
Charlie.
Yeah. Okay, who guessed Charlie?
I did. Was it
Okay,
Charlie? Gloria.
Okay, Gloria, any other guesses? All right, it is in fact Charlie. Want to tell us a little about that, Charlie?
Sure. I had decided that I wanted to be a cowboy when I found out I couldn't be a racehorse rider. And used to watch Wagon Train and Rawhide. So when I turned 40, I decided I had to do something. So I went to Wyoming, to Cody, and I spent 3 weeks on a ranch where I rounded up 1,000 head of cattle and drove them down off the mountain. Through that, we had experiences of 80-degree days and a horrible snowstorm. Slept in tents. The rancher's wife called the few of us, there were about 8 of us doing this, all victims. And it was one of the most fun vacations of my life. I had a great horse and a great time, and I knew what I was doing, so I was very lucky. Because it was treacherous in spots. My mother and aunt sat around and decided they should pray for me because my mother was convinced I would probably go diving off a mountain on a big horse. And my aunt kept saying, but she'll die happy. So that's one of my little fun things.
Thank you, Charlie. The next piece of trivia is about a speaker who spends long hours at auctions. Charlie Warner, Jody Emerson, Jeff Smith. Any guesses?
Jeff Smith.
Jeff Smith. Any guesses other than Jeff Smith?
Jeff.
You all know Jeff. It is Jeff.
Who's Jeff?
Anybody who's seen his shed knows he spends many hours at auctions.
But his shed has been cleaned out. He's now has a workshop.
Do you really? Good for you, Jeff.
I'm still
Okay,
waiting for you to come and inspect it, Don.
I'll be there, and I'll bring my trailer so I can get some fertilizer.
All right.
Okay, and then one more piece of trivia before we go on to our next speaker. This speaker raised a pair of emus after hatching them for eggs that were gifted. Jody Emerson, Jeff Smith, Charlie Warner.
Got to be Jody.
I don't think it's Jeff.
Come clean, Jody.
It was not me, but it's a good guess because my daughter is a biology major and we end up with all kinds of strange animals at our house. She came home from UW-Eau Claire one time with a baby squirrel that had blown out of a tree and all kinds of things like that. But no, I am not the emu raiser, so.
Okay, Jeff Smith, come clean.
Yes, that was me. My office in my home I've always had my office in my home, and our vet came by one day and said she had these eggs. Do I want them? So I said, of course I do. And I immediately put them under a light, and sure enough, we hatched 2 emus. They look just like dinosaurs when they come out of the eggs. Let me tell you that. It was fun. Raised them till they could no longer fit in the office before we put them outside.
Fun.
Fun story. Fun story. All right, so let me turn the floor over then to our next speaker, Charlie Warner.
Thank you, Beverly. I don't know how to deal with this picnic because I don't have that good fried chicken and all the camaraderie quite the same, but I'm happy to be here and happy to see you. I am actively working to become the next assembly person in the 93rd. I keep dodging Mr. Petrick and working on a whole bunch of things. Today I got a notice that I've been endorsed by the Wisconsin conservation voters, and I was really delighted with that. I'm getting feedback from postcards I've mailed out to undecided or slight Dems. I'm looking at ways to find people who are not Facebook friendly or so that's been working somewhat. I do hear from some people because I know there's a lot of people who use emails, but they don't use Facebook or any of the social programs. So we're trying to find them, and I'm starting my program of visiting the parks in the town soon. Had a couple of hiccups with that, but it's rather exciting. So thanks for the opportunity to be here, and everybody enjoy your picnic. I see some of them out there.
Thank you very much, Charlie. All right, a few more bits of trivia before our next speaker. Every school this speaker attended has a bird as a mascot.
Ah, shoot.
Any guesses? Any guesses?
It can't be Jeff. He went to North. To us. We're down to Jody or
I think
Jody.
it's Jody. She's a Memorial Old Aber.
Yep.
Oh,
Jody.
that's right. Jody.
Yep. So
And-
South Middle School, the Falcons, Memorial Old A's, and then for college I went to River Falls and we were the Falcons there. So I'm a bit of a bird brain, I
Wow.
guess.
Not just birds. Aren't they all raptors?
Yes,
Yeah.
aggressive birds, fierce birds. How about that?
I should have put that in. Okay, next bit of trivia. This speaker was laughed at when trying Tai Chi for the first time at a Hong Kong park.
No idea.
Charlie.
Been to Hong Kong.
Charlie.
I don't know if it is Jeff, but I'm laughing at imagining him doing Tai Chi, if that helps.
Yeah. It must be Charlie.
Okay, and Gloria, you're right.
Oh, that was Guess approximation.
So what prompted you to do Tai Chi in a Hong Kong park?
I, after a 14-hour flight and everything that went with going to Hong Kong, I found I couldn't sleep. So I went for a walk from the hotel and I came, and it was just dawn. I came upon this huge, beautiful park and looked around and everybody was doing Tai Chi. So I stood back, I thought in a corner and tried to follow. And all the local people kind of stood around and giggled and pointed at the big white girl. It was quite an event, but I got relaxed out there and enjoyed it, and my walk back to the hotel brought me a little bit of
See you
sleep.
later.
So
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Should I just lock that side door?
Well, that's quite the story, Charlie, and I'm sure that other people who were there had stories to share for many days about the interloper who tried to do Tai Chi.
yeah, I think they did. I think they
Okay.
did. They were wonderful.
Then one more piece of trivia before our next speaker. This speaker has lived in the same zip code the speaker's whole life other than for some schooling.
Probably Jeff.
The guest, Jeff?
Jeff.
Consensus? Okay. Jody, come clean.
It's me. 54701. So I grew up just a little south of Eau Claire and then moved to the East Hill and was in town for a little bit living with my mom between high school and when Julian and I got married. But I've been 54701 my whole life except for my college years. So yeah.
All right. And Jody, while you've had the floor, why don't you share your thoughts with us?
Yeah, so I just, I have really been reflecting a lot lately, partly with the convention, partly with the close of the legislative session and going into campaigns. And I'm just, the overwhelming feeling of being grateful for what we have in Eau Claire and the camaraderie, the help that we get, the resource center, all of the people that we have there. Talking to a few of my colleagues in the last week about how they're trying to run a campaign during a pandemic when we don't want to be knocking on doors and talking with people and we're needing to do so many Zoom events and things like that. And they're like, I don't know how to get my signs up. And I'm like, well, I know, I just, put the Google form on our Facebook page or put it in with our emails or something like that. And I give a list to Gloria and magic happens. And I just am so thankful for what we have in Eau Claire. Because any of those little projects that we do, whether it's the postcard project that Beverly was talking about, and by the way, with that, we have scripts that we can give to people, or you can be creative if you want to, but it's just a way to reach out personally to others and say, hey, let's encourage you to vote this fall. Every little project like that we can get other people helping with frees me up to not only work on legislative things, because we've had a huge caseload. I know Jeff's office and my office have just been inundated with people who've needed help with unemployment issues and all these other, services that our state government accesses or has for people. People are hurting right now and we're really working long hours to try and get them the help that they need, but then also to be running a campaign during this time. And I do have a general election opponent. He's a person from Chippewa Falls. He has an address in my neighborhood. I've never seen a vehicle at that house. But, the Republicans have really recruited a lot of people to run around this state to keep us from helping some of our vulnerable districts, some of our possible flip districts, because they want to keep the lines where they're at, because we're going to be drawing our new maps this session, and it's going to set the next 10 years of what's going to happen in Wisconsin. And so they want to keep the power. So they want to keep us busy doing our campaigns and things like that. And every little bit of stuff that you guys can help us free up is more time that I can spend with Charlie and Emily and Chris Kapster and Amanda White Eagle and other people around the state to help mentor them to get them elected. And I know Jeff's doing the same thing in the Senate with different Senate races. You know, this is how our team works. And talking to some of my Dane County colleagues, they were saying, well, you know, Dane County Dems, gosh, they don't really offer us anything. And I just thought how incredibly grateful I am that we have the cohesive unit that we have, where everybody's willing to jump in and pitch in and help keep me in office, and then also, you know, keep our congressional district blue, flip the White House, do what we can to elect Dems up and down the ticket. And it's been kind of, as weird of a year as it's been kind of an exciting year because you know, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin has had record fundraising years, or year. You know, we're actually outraising the Republicans right now. Now, who knows if some of these, you know, PACs are going to come in at the last minute and swoop in and give them extra money for TV ads or things like that. With Donald Trump on the ticket, you never know what's going to happen. But there is a groundswell of enthusiasm for, we are not happy in the country how it is, and we need some change. And people have been donating to the party, to candidates, to multiple candidates, multiple times. And that's just wonderful because we're having to rethink our campaigns. And so having these extra organizers on the ground from DPW helps me to just be able to plug into a phone bank or a text bank and not have to research what's the program and how are we going to do this. We've got the machine there already, and it's just so exciting to be part of the party that actually has the resources for once. You know, we usually talk about we can outwork the Republicans, but we can't outspend them. But I mean, compared to what the Democratic Party of Wisconsin got the first half of the year compared to what the Republican Party got the first half of the year, I mean, we are head and shoulders financially above them. And that doesn't even include the campaigns. A lot of our campaigns have been outraising Republican candidates because we know it's going to be an expensive year. You know, where we would knock doors and drop off lit and talk to people normally, we're going to have to mail stuff out. So we have to figure out the postage in there, or we're actually looking at doing a lit piece that is like a Post-it note on the back where we can just, you know, walk up to doors and put it on the door and walk away. Trying to figure out how we can harness our volunteer energy and the energy that we have in our party, but doing things safely. And, you know, I really want to echo what Elizabeth said. I'm so proud of our party for putting public safety and public health and the good of the people above what would be a great, you know, shot of balloons dropping or things like that. And if you think about this week, whether it's Donald Trump, Eric Trump, or Mike Pence, they've been in Wisconsin every day this week. They canceled kind of their convention, but they're still coming here and making Wisconsin people gather in person. And I'm afraid to see what's going to happen 2 weeks from now with some of these areas. I think it's important for our leaders to lead by what we're doing. And so that's why we're taking the safe approach and not really planning on knocking doors. We might do lit drops at the most, but we're going to be doing phone banking and text banking and writing out postcards. But it's important to me that my volunteers are safe, that my voters are safe, and that I'm safe. That is the important piece, because we need to take care of people. That's what our party stands for. And I'm proud of everybody from the Biden campaign on down that has made this commitment to it. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to have to work. And so whether it is talking to a few of your friends about what did you see at the convention this week, or conversations that you've had, or articles that you've read, this is probably going to be our most grassroots campaign that we're going to need to do because we can't gather in mass. So we need everybody out there talking about why you are voting for Joe Biden or Ron Kind or the Democratic Assembly person in your area. That's how we're going to turn things and how we're going to flip seats and how we're going to move the needle. Because I love carpooling with Jeff down to Madison sometimes, but I really would like to ride with Charlie every now and then. I'd really like to ride with Emily Birgie or Amanda White Eagle or some of these other people too. And I'm sure Jeff would agree with me. He's probably tired of riding with me too. So we have fun when we travel together. But we want a bigger crew from the Chippewa Valley going down, and that's how we can represent. So I just want to thank you guys for everything you're doing. Every little project that you guys help me on frees me up to be able to help other people, and that's how we flip these seats. So thank you. I'll put my email in the chat box, and feel free to contact me for anything. So thanks so much.
All right, thank you very much, Jody. So just a few bits of trivia left to go before our final speaker. This speaker's parents never talked politics because they canceled out each other's votes. Any guesses? Who looks like someone who came from a politically divided household?
I think it's Charlie.
Hey,
I think it's Jeff.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Everybody's voting for Charlie? Okay, Jody, why don't you explain for us how your parents got along with this, being from different political parties?
Well, they did get divorced when I was in high school, so I can't say whether they really got along or not, but my dad was a union worker at Uniroyal, and my mom she's passed now, kind of more of a Reagan Republican. So they did not discuss politics at all, because it would usually end up to be a fight of some kind. I was not raised in a household where we talked about an issue and we saw both sides of it. And that's something that, Julian and I both really wanted to change that with our kids. And so we've talked about issues, probably to the point that, now our kids are like, oh my gosh, would you stop talking politics and journalism all the time? We can't handle it. But, that's the life that we live in. And very, very pleased that my daughters have connected with partners who are politically active too. Our oldest daughter married Jimmy Haggerty, who was my campaign manager. And my youngest daughter actually got engaged over the pandemic to somebody that we met at my first campaign. He volunteered for us. So we just hooked him right in one way or the other. So that's my political life story, I guess.
Okay, thanks, Jody. Then this speaker loves canoeing and whitewater rafting in wilderness rivers. Who looks like the outdoorsy type here?
Charlie.
Any other guesses? Going once, going twice. Charlie, tell us how you like that kind of thing.
I love nature and was very fortunate as a kid that we spent some time on the Mississippi. And part of learning to swim was also learning to canoe. So that was early in my life. And then I discovered the Namakagon River that crosses so much of northern Wisconsin. And I thought I was going to live there someday. So that was something that I did. And then I was able to convince my husband we needed to whitewater raft. And we have done that in Colorado, in Montana. Whitewater rafting in Glacier National Park feels like something that could never happen again. I'm terrified of big rides in a fair, but whitewater rafting is pretty good. On one trip we happened to be with a group of young men from India who all worked with a company in Denver. And the one next to me was so worried because he was the oldest in the group and eventually asked me to hold his hand and pray because it was a little bit more hectic than we had anticipated. I thought it was pretty funny. He was so old, he was up to almost 32. So I had a great fun with that. And we introduced our children to that. So I haven't had any chance to go out canoeing this year or kayaking, and I'm looking forward to doing that again.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a wonderful story. And the final piece of trivia for the evening. In high school, this speaker had a cool van that was completely carpeted.
That's gotta be tough.
Jeff,
Yeah.
were you that cool?
Any other guesses? Going once, going twice. Okay, Jeff, why don't you tell us how you put carpet in your cool van?
I heard this stuff.
You're muted, Jeff.
Oh, I am. There I am. I had to switch to my phone, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it was more of a wannabe cool. You know how it is, needing to draw attention, needing to look like you're cool. And by the way, nothing happened in that van except a bunch of guys rolling around as I went around corners too fast. But it was I had a lot of fun in high school, probably too much. Fortunately, I lived through it, and here I am today.
Thanks, Jeff. And thank you to all three of you for putting a smile on our faces this evening. If we couldn't have some of the other contacts and connections of the normal picnic, at least this has given us a chance to smile, and I appreciate it. So Jeff, why don't you share your thoughts and feelings about the election season with us?
Well, let me start with with what I just mentioned, that I was on using my computer, and twice it froze up on me. I barely was able to get that first trivia question because I tuned back in just in time. So I finally have switched to my phone. And that's why I was down to the office today, because I had some important Zoom meetings that I had to be on today. And I can't do those things here at home, but we all should be able to, and especially during this pandemic, when you were talking about probably virtual learning, people staying home and working from home. And yet in rural areas like ours in Wisconsin, it isn't possible for everybody. And in fact, I was frustrated at the beginning of this thing in March when the big providers were like AT&T and Verizon were coming out and getting all this publicity that they were providing free hotspots for all students, that wanted them and needed them. Well, the fact is, if you don't get internet at your house, you probably don't have a good signal for your cell phone either. And having a hotspot doesn't solve the problem. So we need to do the things that we need to do as a legislature and actually make sure that everybody has access to education and access to healthcare in a lot of different ways, including having access to the internet. So, so I'm going to tell you a quick, and don't stop me if you've heard this before, but because I remind people of this all the time now. In my last session on the floor in March, the Republicans chose to pass one bill regarding broadband expansion. It was just a property tax exemption for the broadband providers. Supposedly, if they get taxed less, they're going to provide broadband to us in their thinking. So what I did was offer an amendment, which came from the bills that I have actually introduced, which they won't have hearings on. And when I was done speaking on those bills, and I don't want to make it too long, my speech too long here, and tell you what they were, but typically you sit down as a minority member, and the majority leader will stand up and almost like a robot. It's so practiced, he just automatically says, Mr. President, I make a move, I move to table that motion, that amendment. Well, in my case, I sat down and it was quiet for a moment, and I looked over at him, and he stood up and he was kind of rubbing his chin, and he said, I think the senator has something really good there. And I'm thinking, for that moment, I had this moment where I thought, oh, this is the time. This is the moment he's going to actually, and he said, but I still make a motion to table the amendment. This is the politics that we're living in. This is the politics that we all have to be aware of, that we're living in. And it can happen on both sides of the aisle. Power corrupts. And when you're in power, you don't want to give credit to the other party, no matter how good the idea is. We cannot let that overtake us, because we are going to definitely have our chance at that power someday soon. We cannot let our party be overtaken by that power either, and corrupted by that, and not allow good ideas to stand on their merit. Hopefully we learn those lessons. I know one lesson we've learned from 10 years ago, and that is redistricting reform has to happen. We have been punished long enough as a state, and certainly as Democrats, with a legislature that does not listen because of the fact that they don't have to. They only need to listen to their leaders, because that's the only threat that hangs over them, and that is through the primaries. We have to have redistricting reform. I'm really pleased with the movement that has happened, and the awareness of the public that was not there in the past on this particular subject. But nothing good is going to happen as long as we have gerrymandering. And Jody brought this up already. That's what these elections are all about. That's what this year's election is all about. If we don't maintain at least what we have, the seats that we have, and maybe add a few more, we are at risk of losing the veto power that Governor Evers has. And that's why the Democratic Party of Wisconsin has teamed with groups from outside Wisconsin who also recognize how important that is, and have deemed it the Save the Veto program, that they are working with candidates to try to help them win these races. We cannot afford to lose that one goalie that we have in the governor, who stops bad things from happening, and particularly because he will be able to, if we follow the protocol that we have for decades, if he will be able to veto the maps that the Republicans pass in the legislature, as long as he still has that veto power. So that is so critical. I don't think there's anything more you need to really know about what's going on until we be sure we get through these elections, we win some seats, we keep the seats that we have, we preserve what we have, and we make sure that Governor Evers has the power that we voted for in 2018 to allow him to be that balance that we need in the state of Wisconsin. So I appreciate everybody that's here today, of course, and I appreciate all the service, all the support that I've had over the years. I wouldn't be here today if all of you hadn't continued to stand by me as I was on the comeback trail, so to speak. And we're really lucky, as Jody says, to have the organization that we have in Eau Claire. So thank you all, and let's go get them.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Thanks very much. I want to thank Jeff and Charlie and Jody for being with us, for sharing bits of their personal lives that they might not have talked about otherwise, and for giving us their thoughts. I want to leave with just a couple thoughts. We're at a crossroads, but we're at an exciting crossroads, because we have more anger against the Republican in the White House than I've ever seen against a Republican president. We have more anger against the people who are in the US Senate who are supporting that president. We have more people who are rebelling against the Republican Party than I've ever seen. I mean, to have national level groups of well-known, well-recognized voices saying we are standing together as Republicans who know the change has to be made. So we are pulling together an incredibly diverse group of incredibly educated, incredibly invested, incredibly interested people who want to save this nation. Joe Biden talks about saving the soul of our country. It is about the soul of our country, and we are going to be able to save it because everyone on this phone call is going to vote. Everyone on this phone call is going to do what he or she can to make a difference. And as we've seen in the local races, with Jeff's comeback, as he said, with other races that have gone on over the past years, we working together can make that change and can make that difference. Don't be discouraged, because over the next few months, we are going to see a miraculous change in this country as we open up our eyes and our hearts to the possibilities that Joe Biden and Democrats in the US Senate, in the State Senate, and the State Assembly will be able to make in our lives and the lives of all the people we care for. That's why we do what we do. Thank you so much for your part in doing it, and let's keep fighting through the election and beyond. Thank you, everyone. It's going to be a good election season. It's going to be a great, great year. Onward to victory, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, all.
Gloria.
That's Steve. Gloria, he misses you.
Well, sign up.
Yeah, I'll get him on the computer. I signed up
Yeah, I saw that. Great.
that Monday, so, okay.
But that'll probably
In chat too.
It's good to see everybody. So good.
Yes, it is.
Yep, that's Gloria. Hello, Gloria.
You are definitely taking this picnic to its fullest extent, Marie.
Yeah, we are.
You even have company.
Yeah.
Who's behind that mask?
Kathy Ryder.
Oh, hi.
Your Dallas Circle leader that we were.
Yes. Hi.
Yeah, we have a campfire. Larry's here, and we're gonna maybe even do s'mores.
Oh, I love burnt marshmallows.
Show her the fire. Show you the fire.
Show you the fire.
Fire.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. We don't have that chicken, but we have the fire.
Yeah, that's good though. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It was nice to see you all.
And Carolyn and Jim, hi.
Yeah, we're here.
And I
Really
see
enjoyed it.
Ellison and Lou and Janet.
It's always so fabulous to see so many of you. And I had a
Hi.
fabulous time.
Bye, y'all. We'll see you, those of you who are joining in the pre-convention watch party.
Yes, please join us if you still are not sick of these wonderful people. We would love to have you join us.
Not possible.
That I appreciate, but feel free to join us. It was a pleasure.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Can I turn it off?
Yeah.